Okay, so before we start, we've got to clear a surface, and it needs to be quite a big area. So I always use my island, but we need to make sure that we put down protective stuff like that old sheet or an old duvet or something, because it does get pretty mucky. So that's job one. Okay, so here are the basic things you're going to need. You're going to need some cardboard cut into the shape of a Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse ear. To do that, I always find a small plate, or like this was actually an insert from a pencil pot. You just put it to your head and make sure it's the right size, and then when you get your headband, you cut the shape out. You need different types of materials, so you need a non-stretchy material like this to cover the headbands, and to make the bows it needs to be stiffer. But to cover the ears, you want something soft and stretchy. So these are going to be like our froze, and obviously we're going to need to put an underline there. These are all chosen by the children, that's why they're all crazy colours, so I'm making them for them. Headbands, definitely the best way to do them is to buy them online. So I got about, I don't know, oh, it says there 18 pieces of satin headbands. They were like a tenner, so that's even cheaper than the pound shop. You need pom-poms for decoration, this for liner of the inside of your headband, and I collect little bits. If I go out and I see little bits like in the pound shop, I'm going to take these off and turn them into little bits of decorations. These again 99p, you can't go wrong really. And the cheapest way to get a decent wadding is to actually get cheap cushions, literally like 99p a cushion online. Open them, take the wadding out. That seems to me the cheapest way of getting it done. You need to make sure your area is clear, you've got a cloth to protect your table or your worktop, and you need a glue gun and glue stick. And obviously making sure, because I've fallen short for this before, put your glue gun on a plate or something, because otherwise you end up ruining your table. So let's get started. So on top of our old rag, what we do is we lay the hairband. A thicker hairband like this is better. Plastic ones are not good, they snap so easily. So actually, even if you manage to make it without it breaking, by the time you've packed it in your case, or even worn it a couple of times, it breaks. So you line them up like this. I very nearly said like so, God, imagine that, showing my age. Then what you need to do, it's very difficult for me to do this because I'm videoing at the same time. You basically draw the shape of the hairband, and this is where you're going to cut. Again, if I wasn't holding the camera, this would be a lot more accurate. So you're going to cut along these lines, and then you're going to be left with the perfect edge. So if you're happy with the position, go ahead and cut. You then use the ones that you've cut to lay on top of the other one. You need 4 cardboard ears for each headband, because it makes them stiffer. This is a no-sew headband, so you really want something that's going to be strong enough to hold it. So again, draw the line, cut, then you've got 4 of the same. So now we've got all 4 cut, we need to start cutting out the material for both the ears and the headband. We do that by laying the material out, basically doing this along the material, so you're making sure that you've got enough material, cutting out the shape, and with your hot glue gun, we then glue down each side, a couple of blobs here, spread it along, fold it over. You don't need to worry if the inside's not too tidy, because that's what the little lace trim's for. So my glamorous assistant, my daughter, which material are we going to choose for the headband and the bow poppet? Ooh, yeah, nice choice. Okay, so we're going to go for the mermaid ears first, yeah? Okay, good girl. Here we go. Okay, so with your glue gun, and it's important you do this carefully because it does really burn, like seriously burn. So you squeeze the glue gun onto the end. There we go, you just need a blob like that, nothing massive. You press it down, and obviously as the glue cools, it hardens. So that's how it gets really tough really quick. This is much better than fabric glue or anything like that. A couple more blobs here. Watching your fingers, again I speak from experience when I say if you put glue gun on your fingers, yowzers. And really important, big blob on that end. It's always those end ones that need to be the most secure. So now we're going to put spots of glue all over here, and we're going to slowly fold it in and press. this is the fiddly bit, and it is pretty hot on your thumb, and it's important that you hold it while the glue is cooling. That makes it really strong. Again, you don't need to worry about how messy it is inside because we're going to have a lace trim in there. Also, you find you need to trim these down just because otherwise you just get left with too much material and you don't need it. But always keep these scraps because these are the scraps that we're going to use for when we do our upcycling of shoes and handbags and things like that. So never throw away little pieces because we can use them all. So here's the hairband on the outside. So it looks quite good from the outside. Inside looks really tatty, but that's fine. Again, it gets covered. And the most important thing is that you don't have blobs of glue because that's going to go on your head. And obviously if that's touching your head and it's covered in blobs of glue, it's going to be uncomfortable. So it's better that it looks tatty and that you cover it up than to put too much glue on. So next thing we do is we line up our ready cut ears. These are made from my Amazon Prime packages. They're quite good, they're not too thick. If they're really thick then the ears are too heavy and actually they either fall off your head or they just hurt, and then you've made all these lovely ears and you don't wear them. So you put them on the back of your chosen material. So we're going for, you're going for the Little Mermaid, aren't you, Poppet? So that's what we're going for there. You draw around them with chalk is better because it doesn't go through, but actually felt tip's okay because what you're going to do is then eventually glue that over. So we'll do that first. So once cut, you now need to get your wadding from the inside of your cheapy cushion. This is trial and error. I mean, it depends on the size of your ear, but you don't want them massive, but likewise you don't want them too thin. So that's roughly right. The important thing is whatever size you do one, you must do the other. If they're wonky, they just look dreadful, and so I'm going to need more on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold all this material around like this, and we're going to make sure that the stuffing is encapsulated inside. Okay, so that's what the front looks like. Obviously I still need to pull a few bits. The back's like that. The curve, what you don't want to do is where I've pulled this quite tight, you don't want to pull that quite tight because this has to be left free to fit on the hairband. What you can actually do is tuck those in and then use these as like an over flap for the headband, which I might do because these are for my daughter. She's only 6 and she's not going to treat these gently, so I might do it just for a bit of extra strength. So now you've done all 4, there we go. What you need to do is turn one over, glue gun here, and stick this one on top, making sure they line up perfectly. Okay, so this is what you're left with. You're left with one side that I've tucked in nicely, the other side that I've left out. You've glued them together with your hot glue gun. Actually, I might need to glue that one a little bit. You want a little bit of a gap because we actually fill these gaps with the pom-poms, or I think for these ones, because we're going for a bit of an under the sea vibe, we've got some pearls. So a little bit of a gap is good, actually it helps them stick. But for my eldest son, he's not keen on the pom-poms or pearls or anything, so I pinch them really quite tight. And sometimes if I need to just put a bit of ribbon in there, because you know, he doesn't particularly like that. So now we're going to attach these to the headband that we've done earlier. I normally set the flappy sides at the back. I won't do it now obviously because I've only got one hand because I'm filming. You tuck it in like that. You position them so that they're not only comfortable to wear, but so they look, because if you put them too close together they don't look quite right. Actually Mickey and Minnie ears I think are better when they're slightly further apart, particularly if you're going to have a bow. And then what you do is you glue gun the under section. Again, it doesn't matter because it's going to be covered in lace. And you put plenty of the glue gun along this side and you have to be firm and hold it for quite a long time. So let's get that done. Okay, so I've secured it underneath, and what I've done, I skipped a step, sorry I got overexcited. So you get your little pearl trim, which is this. It's about 70p a metre. Again, I get it online. You can get it in good fabric shops. It's just basically a cheap plasticky curtainy bead thing, trim. And you put that, you glue gun that into that gap so it fits nicely, but it also means that you get a better finish. So you do that on the other ear. And then we're going to get ready to do the lace trim inside and the bow on top. Okay, so now those are done, you move on to the bow. So you get the original material, well this is what I'm doing, get the original material that you used to cover your hairband, and you cut off a strip about this bow size, glue gun just the edges. You pink and shear, well this is what I'm going to do, pink and shear down the edge to make them bowy and spray starch them. Pinch it together and you've got a bow. And you cut out a rectangle of material, and that's also what you're going to fasten it with around the top. So we're going to put a blob of glue at the front of the hairband here. And then we're going to press the bow that you've glued, and we're going to pinch. And then we're going to cut a rectangle piece of material about this wide to wrap around the top. Okay, bow's been attached. You can see what I've done is made one side smaller than the other. I've done that because I'm going to be adding some shells and decorative bits to one side. The inside lace has been glued on. That is definitely the hardest bit of all of it actually, because it's just so fiddly, and if you don't put enough glue on it leaves gaps and it's a bit of a pain. So that's that. So now we're just getting on to the final decorations, and my gorgeous little girl is going to have her Ariel inspired Minnie Mouse ears. Woohoo! So there you have it, your homemade Minnie Mouse ears inspired by Ariel, Little Mermaid, which is really cool. And I can't wait to make another one.